What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from ActiveMovieGuy.com, my favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Now You See Me, Now You Don't, which is the third film in this franchise. This one is directed by Ruben Fleischer because apparently this franchise cannot maintain a director for to save its life. So Ruben Fleischer, who has previously directed Venom and Uncharted, but also Zombieland, is here for the Now You See Me entry. Uh, that is it has a lot of writers on it. There's like 7 credited writers. I know some of those are because they created the original characters, but it still feels like a lot. Feel for a sequel that took a while to come out, if we're being honest, like when the last one came out, like 2016, something like that. So yeah, it's been a hot minute since we've seen the Horsemen, and they're all older to the point where like we have like a completely new generation of Horsemen, even though before it was like Jesse Eisenberg, Dave Franco. These people are not old. Like they're not old, but yet they're now old enough that there's now a new generation that comes in under them to pass off the torch to. So, a little bit of spoilers, just in the way that the film is framed. But if you know nothing about the movie, basically, if you're going into this with like no knowledge, what is this movie? Some spoilers ahead, although I won't tell you how the movie ends. So, at the beginning of the film, we see the 4 original Horsemen. So, Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Isla Fisher, and Dave Franco are back together, playing their respective characters, doing a gig where they steal from a rich guy. Again, typical stuff. There's no Mark Ruffalo around to be seen. Um, and from there, we learn that that didn't even happen, that that wasn't even real. The whole thing was a gag, and it wasn't really the Horsemen. And then the Horsemen become wanted fugitives, and then the Eye calls them all back because they've been split up for a while now, doing different things. And the Eye wants them again, and they also want the people who were actually responsible for that heist, which is this trio of young, up and coming quasi magicians who just sort of have more like tech specific skills. So basically, they deep faked an entire magic show using the 4 Horsemen, and this is where you get Dominic Sessa, Justice Smith, and God, the girl from Barbie. I've got her name. It'll come back to me. I'm sure it will. But she's here also, and they play the next generation of magicians. So there's like 7 Horsemen, and then spoiler, but Lizzie Kaplan joins like halfway through the movie, so there become 8 of them. They do. I knew Lizzie Kaplan was in this ahead of time because I'd already seen casting announcements, and I've never seen a trailer for this. So I feel comfortable in saying that because somehow I had already known that they were both in here. They're both Isla Fisher and Lizzie Kaplan, because I guess that was a big enough deal that there are 2 of them. And they do this really funny thing where the girls are there and they're all joking about how there's more than one of them in one place at one time. And they're like, how is the world not collapsing upon itself? Which is such a great gag about the previous film, how they felt like they were just like the token females. And they're like, how do you guys know each other? And they're like, we're female magicians. There aren't that many of us. We all know each other. How are there even 3 of us in the room right now? So, uh, I thought that was one of the better jokes in the film. But, yeah, so their mark ends up being this South African, um, I know, you heard South African and you immediately thought of something, didn't you? And surprise, it's Rosamund Pike. Racist. So, South African, I'm trying to think of what to call her. Terrorist is overstretching. More of like a, what does she do? Like launder money for? She's invested in the wrong things, so to speak. And her parents were too, and not a great family. but she's trying to put on a show like she's, benevolent and a benefactor, and she has this diamond or whatever, and it's this crazy expensive diamond, and the Eye would like these magicians to steal it. So they do, and it creates this, chase, this caper where they're trying to find and catch people, and there's so many of them that it's easy for what was her name? Veronica. I think her name was Veronica. Rosamund Pike's hair. It's easy for her to capture them because there are so many of them. So she can have one of them. Ariana Greenblatt. Oh my God! I knew I would get it eventually. Subscribe because I will remember. So Ariana Greenblatt is the other one. And so they get so she can have one of them, and then they have to go rescue the other one. There's a mansion out in the middle of nowhere that they go to for a while and hang out, and there's kind of cool because it's like a magician's hangout. Cameo from Morgan Freeman, although the cameo from Morgan Freeman also made me think we're gonna lose him soon, aren't we? He's at that stage in life where he basically now just dies and everything. It's a spoiler, but at the same time, it made me think, when you get to a certain point in life, does it just get really depressing because you're either playing somebody who's like losing their mind to dementia or Alzheimer's, or you're dying, or you have cancer? You know what I'm saying? Like, do we do anything fun with the people who are above a certain age group? Like, it's so rare that they ever get to, be in a film where it's just them and no one dies and no one has incredible medical problems, and it's just rare to be able to still see people having that sort of wisdom and fun. And even in a film where you have somebody like Freeman, who would be great playing that sort of like mentor character, I feel like he could still play that movie. And then at the end of the film, he's dead. So I think the film looked at his age and they were like, you know what, now's a great time while we have him, in case we want to make a fourth Now You See Me, just in case, to give him the kind of grand farewell for his character. So sorry, but he's getting up there in age. I think they were like, if it took us 10 years to make Now You See Me 3, how long is it going to take us to make Now You See Me 4? So, I I wish we could find better ways of letting these people go instead of feeling the need. It's got to be so depressing to get a certain age and be like, hi, yeah, we need you to come back for this project because we realize we have to kill your character off before before we can move on. Um, we don't want to have to replace you, and we'd rather do it on camera than like drop it in some dialogue, and move on. So on the plus side, if they make a Now You See Me 4, they have a load of cast members now to choose from. Just a ton. Just an ass load of cast that are now in this, because there are now like 8 horsemen. So they doubled in size. I don't know that we needed them to double in size, but they did. And it's seeing them go after Rosamund Pike is interesting. So you're probably wondering, but John, you haven't mentioned Mark Ruffalo. That's kind of intentional. His character is mentioned as being in jail the whole time. So while I feel more comfortable talking about what they do with Morgan Freeman, just because I also wanted to talk about like the depressing nature of what it must be to be old in Hollywood anymore. Now, like, you're always just like, oh, okay, so I have to pretend to be dead. Got it. Sad. That's, it's just, he's a fucking legend, man. Like, can we not think of a better way out for him? It was actually one of my, like, I'm also bringing it up because this is sort of like one of the things I was like, this feels like it's the easy way to do things. It feels like it's the simple way, One of the things I liked about the first 2 movies is that they didn't explain every single magic trick. And I was thinking to myself, what if Thaddeus's existence in and of itself became a magic trick? What if we don't really know ever what happened to him? That wasn't a sentence, but it is now. What if we didn't ever get like definitive reasoning on, doesn't that fit more with the narrative, this whole eye of thing, where he just, maybe there is magic in the world? Because the first two films have always had some part of it, some gag, some trick where they don't answer it. And it always seems like it's greater or bigger than a simple magic trick. It's using movie magic. You know what I'm saying? It's something that goes unanswered, unexplained, and you're like, was that real magic? Because the whole concept of the film was this Eye of Horus team, the organization they work for is supposed to be protecting real magic. So if they're protecting real magic, there should be real magic, right? Like, what else are they protecting year after year after year after year, for thousands of years? So if there isn't at least a hint of magic to it, and this reaches all the way back to like the beginning of witchcraft. There's a plot point that involves them knowing like the exact date that the witch birth of witchcraft book was written or something. So they lean into it. So I would have gone that route with it. I think that's always been the charm of the first two movies, is that not everything was been explained. Unfortunately, Ruben is way more into, let's show you how we did that. Let's show you every single damn magic trick and reveal to you the gag behind every single one that we did. Every single king one. I don't think they didn't explain one of them. I think they were all like, oh, well, that was how we did that. That's how we did that. Oh, look at that. Isn't it cool how we pulled that off? And look, this is how we did that. Oh, it's sleight of hand over here. I was like, the first two films left you with at least that question of, wait a minute, did I just see that? Or how did they pull that off? And it didn't answer that for you. It didn't answer at least a couple of things, a couple of major things where you were like, wait a minute, is that? And then this film seems way more interested in revealing everything to you. So I didn't like it as much. There's way too many people in this cast. Although somehow balanced, I don't understand how that happened. They kind of take away a lot of screen time from Jesse Eisenberg, who has been sort of out in front the whole time, and they balance it. So he has probably the least obvious lead screen time that he's had before, and it's spread out more between the other characters. So everybody is sort of doing equally um lower levels of stuff. Like, there isn't, it's really hard to say who is the main horseman in this and point at somebody and say, well, it has to be Daniel. It's Daniel for a little bit because of how they structure the story, connecting him to the deep fakers. But then it balances itself out because once everyone else is there, Daniel kind of takes a step back. So, and then everybody else has way more screen time. So it actually is shockingly balanced for how many horsemen there are. But I don't know, some of the tricks are cool. I don't hate this movie. It's just not as good as the first two. So this is a series where we're getting diminishing returns with each entry. But yeah, I don't dislike this film. I still would recommend it. I think maybe if we keep making sequels to it, it's just going to keep kind of getting watered down until somebody figures out what to do with it, which is obviously going to happen because it'll be another new director, because this film cannot maintain a director franchise. So, which might be a good thing for it at this point. I'm not sure, because I don't think Ruben did anything better than the previous directors. Yeah, so I'm gonna give, oh, the audio description. It's William Michael Redman. Uh, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good audio description, and like I said, they explain a lot of the magic tricks, so you get to see a lot of those explained within the context of the film, and the audio description does a good job of actually following the magic tricks. Some of the more standout things are, I would say there's a scene with a door that's pretty cool. There's a door that's in like a non-traditional door that they have to get through. I thought that was pretty cool. There's nothing that rises. I think 2 has one of the best scenes with the passing around of the card. I thought that was a great scene. They don't really top that here in terms of following something around with audio description. And Lizzie Kaplan's entrance to the film is great. I thought she has kind of like one of the better ways of coming into the film. So, yeah, it's great audio description, perfectly fine. I enjoyed it. Anyway, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. So, lower than the first two movies, but still fresh. I would watch it again. I just would watch it only in context of being a completionist and watching the whole trilogy. Kind of the same thing I feel about the later Matrix movies and some other franchises where it's like, I don't know, Revolution. Yeah, I guess I'll finish out the trilogy. So, um, yeah, there's a lot of people in this franchise now. It'll be interesting to see if they keep the original Horsemen at all, or if they try to make a movie with like Dominic Justice and Ariana. That's it. That's what I got. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.